Today on Next Generation Leaders, we'll speak with Brad Leahy. Brad is the owner of Blades of Green. Brad, his brother Mark Leahy, and his team of leaders have been at the helm of this rapidly growing business where everyone can make a difference and everything is based on a relationship. Join us as we speak with Brad about innovation, culture, and the importance of leadership in the growth of Blades of Green. Hey Brad, nice to see you.
Good to see you, Marty.
Welcome to Next Generation Leader Discussion. Tell us a little bit about Blades of Green. What do you guys do, and what marketplaces you're in, and what customers do you serve?
Absolutely. So what we do at Blades of Green and BOG Pest Control, because we do have the two divisions, is really quite simple. We solve problems. We solve lawn care problems and we solve pest control problems, and we try to boil it down to that simple. If you want your lawn to look healthy and beautiful, we can do that. If you want to get rid of the pests, we can do that, and we guarantee it.
Okay.
And really what that does is provides you with more time to do the things that you want to do. What's somewhat unique about what we do is the environmentally friendly approach. So really proud of that.
Yeah.
But we've been around since 1989, family-owned company. We've since grown it to over 50 wonderful team members right now. And we service the central Maryland area. So we've made up that turn, I think, but it's basically about 60 miles radius from Annapolis.
Okay.
And we've been growing crazy for the last 10 years, so it's really exciting.
So this is a discussion on leadership. So tell us a little bit about, obviously you and Mark have been running this thing for a while, and your roles have changed, and you've added people, and you've built a team. So how do you guys, and how do you in particular think about leadership? How do you define it, and what do you look for when you sort of bring folks into your organization?
We look at it as someone setting a strategy, setting a vision, and getting people aligned to execute that for you, and then fixing trouble along the way. And I like to call it de-hassle the process, look for roadblocks and remove them for people at the top level. And the qualities that I find unique or important, and that there's lots of qualities you need, but the ones that I find most important, one is to be humble. I think is really nowadays very, very important. You got to be able to admit when you're wrong, you know that you're not always the smartest person in the room, and also give credit where credit is due to the people that have really done a great job for you, and point out that when things go wrong, you take the blame.
Okay.
Whether whoever's fault it was or it isn't, you take the blame for that, because at the end of the day, the buck stops with the guy at the top.
Yeah. So tell me about alignment. You guys have been growing a lot, and
Sure.
you've started new areas of the business. I know you made a purchase of some property for your headquarters.
Yep.
How do you align your team? That's an interesting word that you use. What do you do to align those guys to where you're going, what you're going to be?
Yes.
How do you do that?
The alignment is based on what our culture is about, and that involves a lot of different things. But as long as we all believe in the same values and we believe in the same vision, and we agree on how we're going to execute it, and we don't always agree.
Yeah.
But when we leave that room, that meeting room, we do agree. We might disagree in that room, but when we get out, we have that alignment to go forth and execute.
So it's two different divisions, growing workforce, leadership team that's probably varied in experiences, been there a long time and maybe not so long. How does culture fit into this? How does culture? How do you guys think of your culture? How would you define it? And then how do your leaders support that, or promote it, or encourage it, or knock it down? What's
Sure.
their role?
We set the vision. My brother and I, we kind of said, here's where we want to go, and let's go find the people to help us do this. And that took quite a few years, but now that we have them, we've been knocking it out of the park. And the way they contribute is, well, we actually sat down and redefined the values and the vision of the company together. And they go out and live it every day. That's really the key.
Right.
Is that someone's out there on the front line, not just, here's a vision statement, here's your values, and just something that's on the wall. By the way, it is on our wall, but
Yeah.
It is something that you have to have someone out there walking the walk and showing people that this is the way to do it, and this is going to lead to success for everybody.
I know you've done some pretty cool things around not just growing your staff and bringing in outside speakers and different ways to run an operationally efficient business. But so that kind of brings us into the innovation question.
Sure.
What's the key that for you guys? Is it do you have all the great ideas? How do you find out to be a market leader? I mean, this is a business you're in an industry that's been around for a while,
Long time.
right? You're being successful in it now. So what about innovation has made that possible?
Sure. So one innovative thing, and it's at least in our industry, some of our parts of our industry are behind times in certain aspects. For what we do, some unique things are what we call a round table. And in that round table, we invite in 2 members of each department.
Okay.
And they rotate once a month, and they get to sit with my brother and myself and our HR manager. What we do is we just come to us with, what do you want to start doing, stop doing, and keep doing? Those 3 things. And what they do is they meet prior to with their departments and bring ideas and suggestions and solutions to the table. It's not just an area for people to complain. It's give us ideas, give us solutions. They can get explanations right from the top of why we do certain things.
And that could be internal or external issues?
Whatever.
Okay.
Sales to training to anything. And just to give you an example, on the very first meeting, they brought up a uniform issue that we had no idea about.
Yeah.
One phone call from an owner, and that problem goes away.
Yeah. So how do you before we leave the innovation, hit a little bit of the culture part too.
Sure.
So you shifted your culture over time. You know, many times that's a hard move, because so much of that is sort of ingrained in the staff you have on hand. And how did you decide to do that? Why did you decide to do that? And then what did you sort of do to make that culture change stick?
So we had a lot of innovation in that area, and a lot of it had to do with the people we have on staff helping us, our operations manager, our sales manager, office manager, our HR manager. Everybody's contributed to that culture, but we do some interesting things with what we call a kickoff meeting in the beginning of the year. So we got everyone together, the whole company, we shut down completely. No production, no phones, nothing happens. We're closed for that day. And we go through what the company, whatever we're training on, or whatever we want to promote. It's been a lot about culture here recently. We go over the vision, the values, and we set the goals for the year. Here's what the company wants to do. We take the surveys that we've gotten from our team members throughout the year, the feedback that we received in the roundtables, and say, here's what we've heard from you, and here's what we're going to do. And we do a lot of team building events, some fun things. It's not all boring training and technical. Yeah. It's almost no technical, actually, and all soft skills and team building.
The last kind of thought is around the growth of the company and what role leaders play in that growth.
Sure. Well, they are they are what's driving our growth right now. We've kind of set out a strategy. Here's where we want to be, but they've come up with individual ways. One example would be our sales manager, who came from a whole nother industry. That's one other innovation we've made is not we don't just hire industry people. We almost have gotten away from hiring industry people. We know that we can teach you the skills, the technical skills. It's much harder to find somebody that has the management skills or leadership skills. It's much harder to teach those. It's about building and helping each other instead of...
Do they compete in those teams?
We absolutely compete, and we'll be giving out awards here shortly, but we do different contests throughout the year. But it doubled our technician sales in 1 year.
Wow.
Doubled it, and it was about $400,000 in difference, so it was quite a bit.
Just for that activity.
And it's up 30% over last year to year to date right now.
I'll have to document that.
Yeah, it's very good.
Last question around sort of where this company is going. What's the future? You seem like you're really enjoying what you're doing. You're jazzed. What's kind of on the future for Blades of Green or even the pest division?
Sure. Well, we have big plans, but what we've started to do is not so much, well, we're going to be at this number. We like targets, but they're more for sound bites. We want to be at, we said $25 million in the year 2025. Well, it's a good sound bite, and it's a nice goal. It's a super stretch. But reality is we look at 90 days. What are we going to do the next 90 days and next year to get there? And what we've come back to every single time, no matter how great we are at doing the services or marketing or all these things, if we're not excellent, the best at hiring, retaining, training, we are not going to go anywhere. So we've really focused most of our growth on how are we going to become the best at attracting talent? How are we going to be the best at getting them up to speed better and faster than everyone else? And how are we going to keep them? And we found it starts with you hire the right person, and you train them right, and you treat them right, they're going to stay.
So it sounds like you've identified what factors are critical for your success, right? And then you've decided that you're going to be excellent in those factors. Yep. And then the future sort of...
It will play itself out. We'll be ready to do anything.
Yeah.
And we have a regulation, a lot of regulation in our industry, and we'll be ready for whatever comes our way. We find that if you have great people, a lot of these problems go away. So we don't have to stay up at night wondering what tomorrow's going to bring. Got great people there to handle it. So we're really quite fortunate.
Great. Well, thanks a lot. It was
Absolutely.
great talking to you about you and the Blades of Green and where it's been and where it's going, and I appreciate you coming up and spending some time with us.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Brad Leahy lists humility as the #1 attribute of a leader. His team of humble leaders have used innovation to push their company to the very top of their industry. From unique team-building approaches to creative sales incentive programs, from leadership development programs to a continual planning process, Blades of Green is well positioned for future success.